guys, this is Shelley with Shelley Cooks. Thanks for dropping by. Today I'm going to be doing a roast chicken dinner for Sunday dinner, and I wanted to bring you along and show you just how simple it is. We wash our chicken first of all, and then I'll use lemon. I'll put lemon all over it and rinse it and pat it dry. And we have a seasoning mix here. We have a video for this, so you can check that out as well, and I'll put the video below for that as well. So stay tuned and let's get started with our roast chicken. So my chicken is well washed. I always make sure I do the cavity really well. And then I have a fresh lemon here that I'll squeeze over our chicken and inside as well. And I'm going to rub it all over to make sure that it's good and clean. I do believe in washing my chicken before I cook it, whether it's pieces of chicken or whole chicken. I know some people don't, but whatever works for you. So now I'm going to dry my chicken off. When we clean our sink, we'll make sure that we clean our counter as well with our little bit of bleach in a spray bottle and lots of water. So we're going to sanitize it. There we are. Okay. So now let's get this ready and let me clean up the sink in this area here and we'll be right back. Okay guys, so we've washed our chicken up. It's all set to go. It's nice and dry. What I have here is some butter. It's about between half a cup and a quarter of a cup. It's probably about 5 tablespoons or so of butter that I've melted. Now what I'm going to do is this seasoning mix that I made earlier in another video, you can see it. I'm going to put some of this in with that butter. And we're going to put this under the skin. Also, what I have here is I have some summer savory. And because summer savory this here is not ground, it's more like a leaf. So it's more whole. I don't want to put that on the outside of the chicken because it'll burn. Whatever goes on the outside of the chicken needs to be ground. Back to this here. So we've got some butter here. We've got some seasonings. And we're just going to mix these here up into a paste. And this is going to give you the most amazing chicken flavor, or most amazing flavored chicken, I should say. So, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn this chicken around so you can see this a bit. We're going to put our finger in here under the skin, between the skin and the flesh of the chicken. We're going to just work our finger in and move our finger all the way down to the drumstick area here. And this is where we're going to do it on both sides of the chicken breast. Okay, and this is where you're going to put all of this flavor, okay? So, if you want to make a really nice Sunday dinner, roast chicken dinner, I should say, this is the way to do it. So we've got all that butter in there now. And there's nothing fancy about this at all. It's just simply flavoring the inside of your chicken. And so that you don't lose any of that delicious flavor on. Now we're going to also do the outside. But on the outside, we're going to use an oil. And that is because we don't want it to burn. We can put some of the butter if we like. But we're going to do an oil, and then we're going to sprinkle our seasonings on top of that. And that'll adhere even better. So we've got most of our butter finished here. If you don't use butter, you can by all means use a dairy-free product here, or you can even use oil. Just put some oil in there and then sprinkle some of the seasoning mix in under the skin. So we've got that worked in there pretty well. I'm not going to leave any of this. So just let me get all of this out of here. And I'm going to put some of this in the cavity as well, on the bottom part of the cavity. And there we go. Let me wash my hands. Now I'm going to take this summer savory that I have, and you just need about a tablespoon or so. And you're going to also sprinkle that inside. And so that's going to permeate the flesh of the chicken from the inside out as well. What I have here is some thyme. And we're going to use the twine to tie up the chicken after we've completely seasoned it. And what that does is it makes your chicken, the whole chicken, the same size, so that way you don't have the pieces that are hanging out like this cooking faster. And then what we're looking for after we test it to see if it's done is this here is probably going to take about an hour and 20 minutes or so, I would say. Maybe an hour and a half. But if you have a chicken that is organic and it's been raised outside and that sort of thing, it tends to be a little bit tougher. It also tends to be a little more flavorful because you have all that muscle with the flavor in it. That'll take a lot longer to roast, just so you know. So there we go. Let's get started. Now I have my hands on this and the chicken. So what I will make sure I do is clean this bottle up well before I put it back. So we're going to put lots of oil on here. And this is the way I do it. We're going to turn it over. Lots of oil again. As I said, anything that you touch when you have hands that have touched poultry, you need to make sure that you wash it down really well. There we go. Be generous with your seasonings. Don't be light with your seasonings. Don't do a tiny bit. You want this to really pack a punch with the flavor. Now, to wrap this up, I'm going to take my twine and I'm going to lay it down here first. And I'm going to lay my chicken on top. And now I'm going to season it again. Again, be very generous with your seasonings. And we're using lots of that. I'm using avocado oil, but you can use any kind of oil that you want. And we're using lots of that because that's what's going to have the seasonings adhere to the chicken. Okay, now we're going to tie this up. I have my roasting pan right here. And when I roast this chicken, I'm actually going to roast it with a piece of parchment on top of it. And then, now pull these legs in as well. Some people will just tie around the legs here. I tie the whole thing because I want it all to be nice and tight. There. So now we have a well-seasoned chicken ready for a 350 oven. I have a roasting pan here. Now, if you plan on doing a gravy, what you would do is put some onion in the bottom of this and some carrots in the bottom of this. Maybe just one onion, one carrot, and some celery. I just went and grabbed a couple of sticks of celery. So I have 3 celery sticks here. I don't have any carrot, which is odd, but I don't have any carrots. If I did, I would put a carrot in here as well. And that's the base for this chicken to roast on. Initially, I wasn't going to do this because I'm actually going to have roasted Greek potatoes with it. So I won't need a gravy for this. But if you're doing a gravy, if you want a gravy, this is how you would start the base for it, okay? So we've got 1 onion's good. That's all we need. So I've got 1 onion there. I'm going to sprinkle some of my seasoning mix on top of that. For anybody who's been afraid of roasting a chicken and thinking you cannot do it, please try this. There's a couple of things. You'll be impressed with how easy it is. And after you do it once, you'll be able to do it in half the time. And secondly, there's just a few spots here that I'm adding some additional seasonings to. And secondly, it'll become something that you do often and you'll see how quick it is. So once it's in the oven, it cooks itself, right? You don't have to do anything else to it. I have a little bit of summer savory left here. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit around there because I think that, for me, chicken and turkey needs savory, especially if you have a dressing with it, but that's another story. So I'm going to just tidy up a bit and be right back. So we've got everything done here. We've cleaned up our space. We've sanitized everything that we touched when we had chicken hands. And so now what I'm doing, and this is something a lot of people don't do when they roast their chicken, but what I do is I will actually put some parchment paper on it with the lid, and that way it gets to really tenderize in its own juices first. It doesn't lose any of that steam, which is flavor often. And then when it's done, or I think it's done, what I'm going to use is a thermometer, and I'm going to put it inside right between the breast here and the thigh. And I'm looking for an internal temperature of 185. There's another way that you can tell if the chicken is done, and that is simply by moving the leg around. If the joint separates, then you know that it's cooked. But I'll show you that when we get to it. So this is now going to go into my preheated 350 oven, and I'm not going to look at it for at least an hour. And then I will take the lid off, and if it looks like it's pretty much cooked, I'll remove the lid, the parchment paper, and put it back in for another 20 minutes or so, and that's when it'll get the beautiful color on it. So let's put it in. We'll be back. Okay, guys, our chicken, the timer has gone off. Oh, you could tell the way this is falling apart that it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's going to be nice and tender. The temperature is way up there. It's 205. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to grab just a small measuring cup and put some of these juices all over this. These juices in the bottom are what you're now going to make your gravy with. And that's pretty simple. There. So I think I'm going to actually just put this in the oven on broil for a second just for it to brown up. And then we'll take it out and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, so we've browned our chicken up. And now it's actually falling apart tender, which is awesome. We're just going to take this out. And what I'm going to do is just strain this over here. Let me see. And we'll serve this alongside the chicken with our potatoes that we're doing today for it, which are a Greek potato, Greek roasted potato. I'm going to remove that string. The chicken is just falling apart. It's delicious. Absolutely. I need to try a piece. Oh, wow. That's really good. It's very flavorful. It's packed with flavor. I get a tiny, tiny bit of that cayenne, not much. And I think it's just absolutely perfect. So I'm going to let this sit for a minute. Then I'll carve it up. And we'll have it for dinner with our potatoes and a salad. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you later. Don't forget to give us a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel to get more recipes. Bye-bye.
Ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba.